Hey fam, what's good? What's good? I hope that you're all well and keeping safe. Welcome back to another one. I hope you all are prepared for this coming week. Me on Nasdaq, you know what? I have my bias. I am gonna start looking for some shorts. In the comment section, let me know what is your bias for this coming week. So starting off from our weekly time frame, you know what? We can see that we have been pushing the market quite. You know what? We the bulls has been flexing, right? We can see that we had a huge push up, huge push, little bit of indecision based off, you know what, the independence holiday, right? And then we had a nice little push for this coming week as or this previous week as well, right? Now for this coming week, I want to see Nasdaq have somewhat of an actual shift back towards the downside, and I will find myself boxing out this little candle right over there as it is serving as my actual BOB. So ultimately, I would just love to see the Nasdaq come all the way back down, back into my BOB, right? Scaling down to my daily time frame, this is basically where I'm gonna start looking for areas to where I can be like, okay, maybe to this area we can see a potential shift back towards the downside too, right? So what I will find myself doing on my daily time frame, we can basically see that we did have some back and forth, right? When it comes down to the previous weeks, we had like somewhat of a little bit of a range bound market right over here, right? So what I will find myself doing is the following. This right here, this whole area is serving as my BOB, right? So what I will do is grab up my Fibonacci from the low to the high right over there, right? And all I'm basically gonna find myself doing is just put like a little bit of a line right over here. Okay, just like that, just to indicate that this is our you know what, this is the midpoint, right? And below this point we are finding ourselves tapping within an actual discounted area, right? So I'm just gonna leave that arrow or this little line right over there so that you guys know why I'm basically putting it there. All right, so all I'm basically trying to find is within my actual BOB, is there more untested magnets to where we can find ourselves magnituding price to, right? And that is ultimately what I am looking out for. Now we can see that we had a nice little down close candle right over here on our daily time frame, right? Somewhat of an actual indecision candle as well. However, you know what, I am looking at this as a signal that we can find ourselves having somewhat of downside momentum when it comes down to the Nasdaq. All right, scaling to our H4 time frame, right? H4 time frame, you know what, is not really painting as much to us as well, right? As we had our actual area of demand being created right over here. Close below, we tested. We created another area of demand right over here. Closed above, tested, and we had a shift back towards the upside, right? So now we can clearly see that we are trying to find ourselves having somewhat of an initial pushback towards the downside on the Nasdaq, right? And we are currently finding ourselves tapping within a beautiful area of support as well. All right, we are tapping within a beautiful area of support as well. Now we are tapping in an area of support. Shouldn't we just look for longs? Right? Now, me, Diego, this is just simply me sharing my outlook, sharing how I'm basically looking at price, right? And since we did find ourselves creating a BOB on our weekly time frame, all I'm simply gonna do is look for somewhat of an actual signal to tell me that I can look for some shorts finding itself opening up, right? At this current point, we don't really have much data telling us that we are going to find ourselves having that actual shift back towards the downside, but trust me, Diego, I am confidently I'm confident that I'm gonna find myself looking for some beautiful shorts, finding itself opening up, right? If it's not this week, it has to be then next week, right? But I am finding myself looking for some beautiful shorts to find itself opening up when it comes down to the Nasdaq. I can already hear some people like, nah, this guy. But nonetheless, let's scale to our lower time frame, right? See if we can have more candles and see if there is any untested areas, right? So right on this 50 percentage over here, we did find ourselves creating an actual area of demand, right? a really small area of demand, and this little area of demand will be my target to be looking for some beautiful shorts, right? So from current PA to this area is around about 170 odd pips back towards the downside. That is a whole lot of playground we can find ourselves maneuvering in when it comes down to price, right? And I am expecting, you know what, if we are going to have that actual shift back towards the downside, I would love to see us have somewhat of an opening above price, right? An opening above price. And on my 1 hourly time frame, what I can find myself doing is just simply boxing out this little region over here, right? I'm gonna box out this little bob right over there. Okay, boom, something like that. Okay, so on my 1 hourly time frame, you know what, the exact same thing has been painted. You know what, some may look at this as somewhat of an actual breaker as well, you know what, but that is all good. I would actually love to see us come all the way back to this area and respect it somehow, but I want to see a deeper push back towards the downside, at least back into an area of demand, right? Or an actual discounted area at least, right? So this little line over there is our midpoint. Below our midpoint is what? Our discounted area, right? So let's see if there is any magnets below this area as well, right? So we can basically see that we do have somewhat of equal lows coming through over here, which is an indication that we can have this area violated, right? And just below that area of you know what, equal lows, we have another bob that has been created, and I'm gonna give this a different color and just keep it like that. Boom. And then I'm gonna remove this. Boom, just like that. And then this is basically my analysis for this coming week. All right, I'm gonna remove that as well. Boom, so that I can have a nice clean chart. Okay, so I can have a nice little clean chart. So all I'm basically expecting for the Nasdaq for this coming week is something like this to find itself opening up, have somewhat of an actual upside momentum, right? Even if we are going to find ourselves taking out the highs, which I don't necessarily want to see happen. However, you know what, I will just simply wait for somewhat of a change in structure to go short, right? But if we can find ourselves having that actual gap towards the upside, that will be a nice little indication that, you know what, we should close up the gap. And after closing up the gap, you know what, have somewhat of an actual retest so that we can find ourselves looking for some beautiful short opportunities all the way back down, back into our area of demand, where we at least want to see price also have somewhat of an actual deeper shift so that we can see price come all the way back down, back into a discounted area, right? As we are having somewhat of an actual bob pointed out on our lower time frame as well, giving us somewhat of an actual indication that we can see a deeper, you know, push when it comes down to our actual area of demand, with us having some equal lows lining up as confluences as well, right? So this is a hard call, honestly it is, right? But I am finding myself preparing for some shorts when it comes down to this coming week onwards. All right, so in the comment section, let me know what is your bias for this coming week. Are you long? Are you short? I'm curious to know. It's me, your boy D. I'm gonna see y'all in the next one. I'm out.